Alright, welcome back folks to WrestleRant. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and right here on WrestleRant I break down all the pay-per-views and content that I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're finishing off our Vengeance review series with Vengeance 2011, a pay-per-view that I've seen multiple times before. I did not go out of my way to buy this pay-per-view, and I know people still ask me, why do you buy the pay-per-view DVDs if it's all on the network? I got this as a DVD long before the network, but I think someone gave it to me as like a gift. And it's weird, I don't love this show. I don't even really like this show, but it is not a bad show, if that makes sense. And we'll talk about it more as we get into the rest of the pay-per-view and whatnot. But this is Vengeance 2011. Like I said, I got this as a DVD, as a gift on DVD, maybe in 2011 or 2012, around that time. And I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times. I rewatched it, obviously, to review it for this show, to review it for WrestleRant, because I hadn't seen it in maybe 2 or 3 years at best, at the most. But still, not a bad show. I just don't traditionally like this time in WWE for whatever reason. I just don't. And again, we'll talk about it more as we get into the pay-per-view a little further. So kicking off the show for the WWE Tag Team titles, Air Boom, Evan Bourne, and Kofi Kingston taking on Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler. A very fun match. I forgot how fun this match was until I watched it back. These two teams were two makeshift tag teams. They worked very, very well together, which is kind of no surprise considering who was involved. I mean, Ziggler and Kofi had a million matches together in 2009, 2010, 2011. But they always had great chemistry, and this match was no different. Air Boom had just come together only a couple months before this. I loved Air Boom. I mean, again, two makeshift singles guys put together at the last minute, but they had a lot of great chemistry together, and I really felt they had a lot more to accomplish had Evan Bourne not fucked up and gotten suspended. And then Swagger and Ziggler, I mean, again, kind of a random tag team on paper, but two All-American wrestlers. They were both associates and clients of Vicky Guerrero, so there was that connection there. And just at the end of the day, as a regular old tag team match, I really enjoyed this, and I thought it was great in the opening slot. So in the end, Evan Bourne pinning Dolph Ziggler with the shooting star press to pick up the victory and retain the tag team titles. Right after that, Dolph Ziggler had to go into action to retain, or rather defend, his United States Championship against Zack Ryder, who beat Ziggler in one-on-one action right before the United Champions pay-per-view a month earlier. A good match. I loved, obviously, I thought the TLC match was better a few months later, but this was still good. Only went about 6 minutes, and I don't know if that's because Ziggler was already kind of shot from the previous tag team match, or they wanted to protect Ziggler. It was weird. Again, they worked well together, kind of showing shades of their better matches down the line on the Halloween Raw, and again, like I said, the TLC pay-per-view a few months later. But I thought the finish was odd. It made Ziggler look good, but was that really the goal? He's the heel in all of this, and he cheated. He did not cheat to win. He won clean with a super kick, not even the zigzag or the sleeper or whatever. He won with a super kick in 5 minutes. So it made Ryder look completely incompetent. And after that, I thought, okay, that's pretty much it. I don't know why Ryder would not have won here after Ziggler had just lost the previous match. So Ziggler loses, gets pinned, and then wins another match in 5 minutes with a super kick. And I know he uses a super kick all the time as a finisher now, but he didn't use that as a regular finisher back then. I think that might have been the first time he used it as a finisher, so that kind of came out of nowhere. But still, a good match. A questionable result that I probably would have been more mad about at the time, had I not known that Ryder would go on to win the U.S. Championship a few months later. But still good for what it was and how long it lasted. After that, for the Divas Championship, Beth Phoenix taking on Eve Torres. I don't know, I didn't like this match really at all. I thought the Survivor Series Lumberjill match was a lot better. This match kind of felt dead to me. The crowd did not give a shit whatsoever. I'm surprised they got 11 minutes. I'm shocked they got that long of a time. Usually, you would expect the U.S. title match to go 11 minutes or so and have this match get 5 minutes, but it was the other way around. Not even really a complaint. I just thought this wasn't really their best work. Eve improved a lot, very much so as a worker, and Beth was always great too. And they've had good matches. Like I said, the Lumberjill match at Survivor Series, I think it might have been shorter, but it was a lot better than this, or might have been because it was short and sweet. I thought this match kind of dragged on. The crowd didn't really care. They didn't really come alive until like the final minute or so when they thought Eve might win. But other than that, they were kind of sitting on their hands, in which really they had all the reason to, considering that this match really had no build other than the Divas of Doom making life hell for Kelly, and Eve. And I think the match was made official for the pay-per-view like a week ahead of time. But anyway, decent match. Beth in the end retains the Divas Championship. After that, Sheamus taking on Christian in one-on-one action. Another good match, probably better than the Hell in a Cell match. The crowd really was not all that into it. Again, they might not have bought into the possibility of Christian beating Sheamus here. He had gotten like the upper hand on him once on the go-home episode of SmackDown before this pay-per-view. Other than that, people did not buy into the possibility of Sheamus winning here, or rather Christian winning here. And he was a great heel, but he never fucking won when it mattered. Sheamus won this match. He won at Hell in a Cell. He won on SmackDown. Christian lost and lost and lost and lost for months. The people just kind of gave up. And thankfully he got hurt. I mean, I hate to say that anyone, thankfully someone got hurt, but he really wasn't doing anything. And I figured after that, after the feud with Sheamus, he probably would have gone on to do nothing anyway, So I'm not really, I think the time off for him kind of benefited him in a way. But anyway, good match though. They always worked well together. The ending result, Sheamus winning and winning and winning, kind of got tiresome after a while. But the matches were always good. This was no exception. After that, we had Awesome Truth taking on Triple H and CM Punk. The video package for this was amazing. The whole chaos is in WWE, and the voiceover was great, and showing clips of Punk winning the WWE title and Triple H becoming the CEO of Raw, COO of Raw, and later getting fired from Raw and brawling with Awesome Truth, and them getting fired and interrupting the Hell in a Cell main event. It really covered a lot of ground, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised by that they really kind of went beyond the 2 or 3 weeks of this, the feud between these two teams have been building up. Punk and Triple H had been rivals for a few months. They were not really on the same page, which did not cost them the end. What cost them was interference from Kevin Nash, or at least they did not win clean. But Punk talked about this in his Art of Wrestling podcast. Fans have talked about it back then, even now. Why was Punk's momentum cut short? And I know he would win the WWE Championship at Survivor Series, but the guy was the hottest fucking thing in wrestling for a solid month or two after Money in the Bank. And then he lost the belt after SummerSlam, which was alright. And then he lost to Triple H and Night of Champions for no fucking reason. And then he lost it. He got pinned at Hell in a Cell and then got pinned here too. Because I guess you can't, have, God forbid, get John Cena or Triple H pinned. But anyway, the match really wasn't anything special. Like I said, I praised the video package. Because the video package was better than the match itself. It really kind of felt like a standard tag team match. For a video package or for a feud that was all about chaos, this was really anything but. It was very standard, very formulaic. Awesome Truth won, which was a good win for them. But in the end, if you think about it, it was really the only way to build them up to face Rock and Cena at Survivor Series. That was the only reason why they won here. Had that not been the plan, they probably would not have won. And it did further the feud between Triple H and Kevin Nash, which seemingly went on forever and really served no purpose in the end. But anyway, I liked that Awesome Truth won. I didn't like that Punk got pinned. And it just kind of set them up to fail, though. In the long term, it really did nothing to benefit anybody. Awesome Truth got squashed at Survivor Series. They broke up the next night. Punk's momentum was cut short significantly. I mean, he got the belt back at Survivor Series, which was good. And then Triple H and Kevin Nash, the whole purpose, the whole focus of this matchup right here was to further that feud. And that feud served no purpose. It gave us a subpar ladder match at TLC, which really wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, to give it credit. Where credit is due, but I thought the whole feud really kind of served no purpose, which I've talked about before, and I won't rant about it here, but anyway. The bottom line was that the match really wasn't anything special, despite the whole hype surrounding it. After that, we had Randy Orton taking on Cody Rhodes in non-title action at this time. Cody Rhodes was the Intercontinental Champion, so as soon as the match was announced and the title was not up for grabs, you knew that he wasn't winning. You knew that Cody Rhodes was not winning. It's still a good match. These guys always worked well together. I like the roots of the rivalry in that Cody Rhodes blamed Orton for screwing him up after Legacy, and that's why he had his demented face and whatever, and, his whole screwed up demeanor. So it was a really good match. Cody Rhodes almost won at one point with the Crossroads, so he came close. But yeah, a really, really good match. Orton in the end winning the match, and Orton would win all of their encounters for the most part, so I was kind of disappointed about that. But in the end, though, you can't really complain about an enjoyable in-ring action, so good stuff there. I would have changed the outcome result, but whatever. After that, the World Heavyweight Championship, Mark Henry defending against The Big Show in a match, again, that I thought was better than I thought it was going to be, considering these two guys had, not even that they didn't have chemistry, but you put two giants in there that are really past their prime in 2011, even now, but especially even back then. Mark Henry and Big Show, I expected a shitfest. Their Money in the Bank match was passable because it was kept short and sweet, and Mark Henry went over clean and in dominant fashion. I did not expect the same thing here. Big Show beat the living shit out of Mark Henry for weeks on end going into this pay-per-view. So Mark Henry was being booked to look like a total bitch going into Vengeance. So I did not expect another squash of Mark Henry here. But before the non-finish, before the whole ring collapse, which I'll talk about in a second, it was not that bad of a match. Actually, I thought it was better than the Survivor Series and TL matches combined. The TLC matches combined. They had their chairs match at TLC, which fucking sucked. The Survivor Series match was not much better. But I thought this was easily their best pay-per-view match that year, which is, again, not saying much, but it was better than their preceding and their following encounters, their subsequent encounters. But yeah, the non-finish, Mark Henry suplexed Big Show through the ring. The ring collapsed, or maybe it was the other way around, I don't remember. But Bottom line, the ring collapsed, and it was an amazing visual. The crowd went nuts, holy shit, and it went on for like 20 minutes. I skipped through the whole post-match shit with them trying to stretch her out Big Show. I've seen it a million times before, so I just skipped through it, but it was a great visual. Yes, they copied the same finish from Big Show, Brock Lesnar in 2003, which I think Jerry Lawler alluded to at one point on commentary during the main event between Cena and Del Rio, but other than that, they kind of completely ignored it, which was a little weird considering that was one of the biggest moments in SmackDown history. I have no idea why they ignored it, but it was a cool moment. Really the only purpose they wanted to do it for, the only real purpose that non-finish served was to keep the feud alive while protecting both men. So I can understand that, but it really was something that I would have rather just kept for Brock Lesnar, Big Show, not had it done again with the same guy with Big Show. But whatever. I thought it was a cool moment anyway, and a nice way to keep the feud alive. Albeit not one of my favorite feuds from 2011. So then we get to the main event, a last man standing match, the WWE Championship between Alberto Del Rio and John Cena. And what I liked a lot about this match was that the ring was, collapsed, and they didn't end the show there. They didn't, go off the air with, Mark Henry and Big Show being put on stretchers, and that's it. The ring's done, so no more main event. Now, John Laurinaitis, as the then Raw general manager, gave us what we wanted, or rather what he wanted, was for the night to go on. The show must go on. So they continued on with the main event with no ring, which was great with the stipulation they had, the last man standing match, because they can go all around the arena and ringside and through the crowd anyway. So it worked out perfectly. And I thought they really made the most of it. They went in the ring to start out the match, and they used the poles around in the ring. They used, the surrounding poles, the ring posts, whatever, to kind of incapacitate Ricardo Rodriguez and Del Rio at certain points. John Cena did. They went backstage and utilized the backstage area, kind of shades of their match they had on the Labor Day Raw about a year later, which I thought was also really an underrated matchup. But yeah, actually a really fun match. I would go so far as to say their best match on pay-per-view. I'm trying to think. The Night of Champions match I didn't really like is the finish, and I thought the finish here was not great, but it was better than that. All of their matches, like from Hell in a Cell 2015, that was kind of what it was. They had a few pay-per-view matches in 2013 that I didn't really give a shit about at all. But, yeah, the matches were actually really, really good. They really made it feel different, refreshing, innovative, which was what these matches should be all about. It didn't feel like we were seeing the same match a million times over for the millionth fucking time. It felt like something different. But after all the punishment, all it took was one attack from Awesome Truth and a belt to the head, a title shot belt to the head to the skull of John Cena to knock him out and incapacitate him for the 10 count to give Del Rio the victory to retain his WWE Championship. So that would kick off the feud between Awesome Truth, Rock, and Cena going to Survivor Series, so kind of paving the way for that. But yeah, before the finish though, and I'm glad Del Rio went over. I thought it would have been dumb, and I was kind of getting my guard up for Del Rio to lose the belt, because up to this point, the belt had changed hands at like 4 consecutive pay-per-views. It changed hands at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam twice, Night of Champions, and Hell in a Cell. That's like 5 title changes in 3 fucking months. So they really needed to keep that belt on someone, and Del Rio lost it at Survivor Series anyway. And then Punk would hold it for like a year and a half. But it felt like a game of hot potato with the championship for many, many months. We needed Del Rio to retain here. Thankfully, he did. And it did kind of set up the main event for Survivor Series effectively. So that was Vengeance 2011. On paper, it's actually a better show than I give it credit for. I just don't like the show. I don't really like watching it back just because it brings back bad memories of that time in WWE, which is not my favorite. Again, I loved the year of 2011, which I've talked about before, but I love the summer. The first few months were great. The post-WrestleMania season wasn't amazing. The fall, I thought, sucked. The fall was not good with all the John Laurinaitis bullshit, the fucking mangled angle with Awesome Truth and Kevin Nash and Triple H and CM Punk and everything else. Cena Del Rio and everyone else involved in that fucking mess of a storyline. I didn't appreciate that, and that's why I don't like that time in WWE. But as a pay-per-view, disregarding all that bullshit, this was not a bad show whatsoever. I don't know if I would go out of your way to watch it. But to quick recap here, Air Boom versus Ziggler and Swagger was a very fun opener. Ziggler and Ryder was not as good as their TLC match, but still all right for what it was. Kind of could have done away without that. Could have done without that matchup. The Divas title match was really not that good either. Again, better match at Survivor Series. Sheamus and Christian was good. Truthin versus Punk and Triple H was kind of what it was. And again, not a really good match. Orton and Cody Rhodes was a really good match, though. Henry and Big Show, not a great match, but it did give us a great moment, a memorable moment with the ring collapsing. And the main event was awesome, too. So, yeah, again, I don't know if I would scold you for watching the show. You can at your own risk. If there's only one match to watch, it would have to be the main event. Really, really good match there. And that is my review of Vengeance 2011, as seen on the WWE Network. So my next review, I think we'll be covering Money in the Bank 2015 to hype up for the upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view in just a few short weeks, so I can't wait for that. But in the meantime and in between time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at WrestleRant, on Facebook, give the pagino a thumbs up at facebook.com/Graham.Jason.Matthews, right here on YouTube by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and be sure to check out the website at nextEraWrestling.net. So until next time, guys, I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.